This is Docs Outside the Box, episode 20.
Welcome to Docs Outside the Box podcast. This is your official show, looking inside the minds of cutting-edge and innovative doctors. Think you'll find these stories in any medical textbook? Sorry. You're getting real life insight from men and women pushing the envelope beyond medicine. Ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. Let's start now with your host, Dr. Nee Darko.
This episode of Docs Outside the Box is brought to you by Equal Access Health. Created for doctors, by doctors. Equal Access Health was established with the specific goal of improving a doctor's quality of life, all while providing continuous quality care for patients. We offer competitive rates for doctors and low costs for employers. We're not your average locums company. Besides using the latest in technology, we provide our docs with resources to help manage finances as an independent contractor. Worried about taxes, health insurance, investments, debt payoff, or even savings? EAH has got you covered. At EAH, you're more than just a locum, you're a colleague. To learn more about EAH locums, visit us at www.equalaccesshealth.net or email us at info@equalaccesshealth.net. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nee Darko, and it has been a while, I know. It's been close to a month since the previous episode, but I've got a great one coming up for you. I got two great guests for you on this show. And as you heard earlier, sounds like we got a sponsor. Yes, indeed. Sponsor for this show is Equal Access Health Locums, which, full disclosure, is my company. But nonetheless, it is a great option for doctors who are looking to transition out of private practice world or even the employed world, or for those fellows or newly minted attendings and you're looking to do something and do some temporary work. Locums is a great option. So go ahead, check us out at www.equalaccesshealth.net or send an email to info@equalaccesshealth.net to learn more information. And for those people who are listening, or for companies who are listening, yes, the show is open for sponsorship. So hit me off at NII at docsotb.com. So as always, the feedback has always been great with you all. I really appreciate it. But I want to highlight two pre-med students who have reached out to me in the month of February. And those pre-med students go by Adriana and Jonathan. They reached out to me with some amazing emails letting me know what they think, how they feel about the show. And I just want to let those two know that I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you going out of your way to send me an email, particularly at this stage in your career. And I'm glad that you're getting some value from the show. So as always, anybody who wants to reach out to me, I read the emails constantly. I'm always on Facebook and I'm also on Twitter, as well as obviously I'm reading the emails. So always feel free to reach out to me. In terms of iTunes, as always, you know how I feel about iTunes. It's really important to get iTunes reviews as well as 5-star reviews because it helps the show to grow. And the importance of the show growing is that I can get the message out to more people. The show expands. We can continue to get great guests. And I want to take a moment to read two reviews from iTunes. One is from John Jurica. I got 5 stars for him. So John, thank you very much. He says, great Future-Proof MD interview. And it says, I just finished the interview with Future-Proof MD and really enjoyed it. I have been reading his blog for about a year. I have listened to most of your previous podcasts and also enjoy those. I am a blogger myself and I enjoy listening to and reading other physicians. His question is, any plans to interview Z-Dog MD? As you guys know, Z-Dog MD makes a lot of those parody videos on, physician life and so forth. So that might be interesting. Keep up the good work. John at Vital Physician Executive. My man, thank you very much for the 5-star review. It's greatly appreciated. The next 5-star review is actually from Meharry Doc, which I can assume is a physician from Meharry School of Medicine in Tennessee. Thanks for the love. And Meharry Doc says, great podcast, very inspirational. Keep up the good work. So those two, thank you very much for an amazing, amazing review. So imagine getting a chance to work with your best friend all the time. My next guest actually get a chance to do that on a daily basis. And you can say they are a power duo, so to speak. They've been best friends since meeting in college. Their names, Dr. Chantale Stevens Archer and Dr. Gameli Dekaye Amenu, they form BestiesMD. And according to their website, they are two best friends who care for each other, two doctors caring for you, and through various YouTube videos, multiple blog posts, and through their public speaking in the Chicagoland area, they are empowering women through health education on a relatable and sisterly level. And just looking at their tagline, they just make me want to upgrade, get my tagline game better. But as I stated before, they met in college and they became instantly friends at the University of Chicago. They remained roommates all through college. They both went to medical school, and after graduating, found that they were facing a common scenario that I think we all as doctors can relate to, right? Which is they found themselves answering questions from friends and from family. And the thing that they noticed is that the majority of the questions were very basic in nature. And they were able to find a common theme, and they attempted to fill that void by creating BestiesMD. So BestiesMD is their way of answering basically the all too common medical questions in a fun and digestible way. These women are everywhere, trust me. They've been featured on numerous electronic and print media like Ebony Magazine. Obviously, they have their own YouTube channel. But very interesting is now they just started their own podcast called Tea and Cookies, which is an excellent listen. You got to check it out. I put the links in the show notes. And just a little quick thing on each physician. Dr. Gameli, she is originally from Ghana, came to the United States at the age of 5, but now she practices as an ER physician. She went to University of Chicago for undergrad, but then went to medical school at Rush University. And Dr. Chantale, born and raised in Chicago, did her undergrad obviously at University of Chicago, where she met Dr. Gameli. But then she went off to University of Illinois for med school as well as residency, and currently is working as a hospitalist. So things that I want you to catch, things that I want you to listen to and learn in this episode is the genesis of BestiesMD. I want you to take a listen to their thoughts on the current state of medical journalists. You also learn why they favor quality over quantity in this digital age. And you're also going to learn about their attempt to level the playing field for underrepresented women in medicine with their creation called Medical Mavens. And as always, you're going to learn how they answer hashtag I'm not just a doc. So without further ado, I present BestiesMD.
Back with another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I'm excited to bring to you all BestiesMD, two physicians, two best friends caring for each other, two doctors caring for you, empowering women through health education on a relatable and sisterly level. Dr. Gameli, Dr. Chantale, welcome to Docs Outside the Box.
Wow, that was a great intro. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I prepared for that, see?
That was good. I was feeling hyped over here.
Well, I figure with fellow podcasters, I got to come correct, so.
And you certainly did. Thank you. Well, we're happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Before we get into the nitty gritty of the interview, can you take a moment just to introduce yourselves?
Sure. So my name is Dr. Gameli. I am an emergency medicine physician. Been practicing for about 4 years now in the south suburbs of Illinois. I'm originally from Illinois by way of Ghana. I
Ghana.
came here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Ghana also.
I know. But I was 5 when I came here, so I've been in this country ever since, and was local, did college, medical school, and residency all in Chicago.
Okay. So you left Ghana at the age of 5?
Mm-hmm.
What part of Ghana did you grow up in?
I grew up in Accra, Pig Farm area. And we've been in the suburbs of Chicago since that time.
Small world. My family is not too far from where you grew up. So are you Ashanti, Twi, or Ga, or?
None of the above.
None of them.
No, I'm Ewe.
Ewe, okay.
Yes. So my family's from the Volta area.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, Dr. Chantale, what about where you're from?
So my name is Dr. Chantale Stevens Archer, long last name. I was born and raised in Chicago. Um, Went to school in Chicagoland area
Shorter
forever.
boat ride.
Yeah, definitely a shorter boat ride so far. Chicagoland area for those Chicago heads that are listening. I went to Whitney Young for high school, University of
Wait.
Chicago
How many
for.
people come from Whitney Young? There are a lot of medical school graduates from Whitney Young.
I mean, I can't help it. I guess everyone just should have been a dolphin. Those Whitney Young heads will get that.
Oh.
You guys will get that reference. We're just awesome. We're just awesome people. And it's a nurturing environment, and they really just have a lot of great people that come out of there doing great things. So Whitney Young for high school, and then University of Chicago for undergraduate, and then University of Illinois for medical school and residency. And now I'm practicing in the western suburbs of Chicago doing internal medicine.
Love it.
Currently working as a hospitalist. I've been doing that for about 4 years now and loving it, loving the flexibility of having my life and loving my hours and all of those things.
Talk more about that. Talk more about it. What do you mean loving it?
Well, with the currently me working in the western suburbs in a community hospital, as a hospitalist, I work 12-hour shifts, but very flexible in the sense that even though my shift starts at 7, most times I'm getting to the hospital about 8:30. I take a lot of pages at home and phone calls from home and do a lot of like things on my computer at home. And then my shift ends at 7 p.m. And then I work maybe 5 days on, I'll get 3 days off, sometimes 7 on, 7 off. And I think it works well because I have young children at home, so I can kind of plan things. I have weekdays off. I have, weekends off. I'm not set to a 9-to-5 schedule. I have flexibility. If in the middle of the day one of the kids gets sick, I could just leave the hospital, go take care of that, and come right back and see my patients. So there's a lot of flexibility that comes with just hospital rounding that you don't necessarily get when you work in the clinic.
Awesome. Now, for the pre-med listeners out there, can you describe what a hospitalist is?
So a hospitalist is an internal medicine board certified physician that only takes care of high acuity patients in the hospital. So I don't have a clinic. I don't see patients once they leave the hospital. It's strictly taking care of them when they hit the ER and they decide, okay, this patient needs to be admitted for whether it be asthma, COPD exacerbation, or DKA. I'm the one taking care of them from the beginning to the end. And then once they get discharged, I hand them off to their primary care doctor to care for them.
Excellent explanation. Dr. Gameli, what's your hours, your lifestyle like?
So I also have quite a bit of flexibility, which is one reason why I chose emergency medicine. My shifts are pre-scheduled, so I'm able to know in advance, what my shifts are, and I can kind of work my life around that. And the nice thing I think about emergency medicine is when I'm not there, I'm not there. So I'm not getting, awesome. Yes, I'm not getting any calls, in the middle of the night asking for Tylenol or, I don't have anyone paging me that I need to come into the clinic and see this patient. When I'm there, it's intense and that's the whole point of the ER. But then when I'm at home, I have my own time. So it's very, very great.
And honestly, I feel for like most careers, that's crucial. You need some kind of protection of your private time. You need that time to kind of reboot and re-energize. Yeah. And so you need the times to be separate. When you're at home, no one paid you. I mean, in fact, I put unavailable on my pager. No one can find me. Email. I'm done. When shift ends at 7:01, that's it.
So I have a lot more variability in my shifts as compared to Dr. Chantale. Since I'm ER and the ER is 24/7, sometimes I work morning shifts, sometimes afternoon, sometimes evenings, and then other times overnights. The nice thing about my group is that there's quite a few of us, so we are able to split the overnights evenly. And so I'm usually working maybe 3 or 4 overnights a month. And I also make the schedule. I have some
hometown advantage.
Yeah, I recently undertook some administrative duties too. And so in addition to my clinical work, I'm also the associate director of my emergency department. So I do scheduling, I attend meetings. So it's fun. It's a lot, but it's fun. I enjoy what I do.
So it sounds like you both are full time.
Yes.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you guys meet?
So we actually met the spring before we started college.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
University of Chicago has a prospective students weekend. So when you're deciding which schools to go to, you can come and spend, I think it was was it overnight or was it the full weekend?
Yeah, it was overnight.
And so you spend time with the current students and, they're pretty much trying to woo you, right, to come to their school. And so, we had met and we literally just became like instant friends,
You're not telling the entire truth. You're giving him like the soft version.
We did. I mean, I don't know what it was. I guess you can call it fate, but we were drawn to each other. I'll just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time that 24 hours was done, we said, okay, if we both decide to go here, we should definitely be roommates. And we both ended up deciding to go to University of Chicago. And we were roommates all throughout college. I know, since then, essentially all throughout college. During our first year, we took a year off after.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't planned like that.
I was about to say, y'all do everything together then, huh?
It wasn't intentional, but we both took a year off before we went to medical school. And then after our first year of medical school, that's when Dr. Chantale had gotten married. And so, I had to find a new place, apparently. So that's when
you had to find your own spot.
Yeah. So that's when we had started living apart. But yeah, it was during that spring perspectives weekend.
So you went to two separate medical schools, or you went to which medical school did you both go to?
So yeah, we went to two separate medical schools. So UFC together for undergrad, and then for medical school, I went to University of Illinois at Chicago, and she went to Rush, which is literally a block from one another.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we're at two separate medical schools, it actually worked to our advantage because I would go to her anatomy lab and dissect with her. And she would go by my study sessions.
Yep.
2 for 1.
So obviously you guys are best friends. I think you can tell just by the dynamic and how you interact with each other. So how did you go from becoming best friends, staying in touch with each other through medical school, to where you created BestiesMD? And as a matter of fact, when you answer that, can you just tell us what BestiesMD is?
Yeah.
So BestiesMD is a passion project for us. During the time that we were going through college and medical school and residency, we were able to be there for each other as a support system because we're both first-generation physicians. We didn't really have that support system or the resources to navigate the journey through medicine.
Not only first-generation physicians, but actually like first-generation kind of going through the American system, right? Because neither one of our parents knew how to do this at all.
And
it's
so
a similar story on this end also.
Yeah. And so, we've always known that serving our community and also being as health conscious as possible has been a personal goal for us. But what we realized is the further that we got through our medical careers, the more questions that kept coming at us, and we were surprised, honestly, by some of the questions. We would think that these are things that people would know, or that when you go to the doctor's office, like, what's going on.
Exactly.
But come to find out that just the basics, some people were really struggling to understand. And so we kind of combined our desire for education as well as our sisterly bond to be able to create something that is a resource and an outlet for people to be able to learn about their health, but to get the information in a fun and digestible and easy way, and something that they can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Your doctor can tell you all the things that are going on, but what's important is what do you walk out of that room with, Right. And so really empowering the women who listen to us, and men too, to be advocates for themselves and to also be knowledgeable about their health.
Mm-hmm.
So when did this start?
It's been about 3 years now that we've been doing BestiesMD.
And we have been thinking about it we have been thinking about it for like almost a whole year, even maybe a little bit more before we actually launched it. And we honestly did not have a clear-cut idea of what we wanted to do. We just knew that we wanted to be able to be a resource. And, it has really evolved into something even, I think, way bigger than we had ever imagined. It really was more of like a hobby, getting the people that we knew in our professional networks and our social networks and our family networks, getting them knowledgeable about their health. But it just kind of spread like wildfire. And we've been able to reach literally people all over the world with our message.
Which I think speaks towards the need, right? There's obviously that need and deficit that a lot of people are feeling, and they want a physician that they can relate to.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we provide that.
So do you guys have similar talents? Is one better than the other at one thing? For example, one is better at, public speaking. The other one is better at editing podcasts and YouTube.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm definitely the creative, artsy,
150%.
Like graphic designer, editing kind of person. And she's like down to do the research and all of making sure we cross all of our T's and dot all of our I's. Those are her skills. So it's actually worked out perfectly in terms of division of labor and who does what. We've been able to find something that naturally suits both of our talents.
Whenever we need content or, agreements and waivers, I'm down. I'll get it done nice and smooth. And then whenever we need, flyers or we're about our look or a website. Yeah, lots of website work. This girl's amazing.
Like our Instagram post or all of that. I love doing that. I could sit at the computer for hours, just tinkering and making sure that the slide looks perfect.
And don't get us wrong. I mean, even though we've been friends for so long, in the beginning, we had to kind of work to that point where we're going to work on our strengths pretty much. When we first started off, she would ask me, can you work on this website, work on this flyer? I'm like, girl, this is taking me about 5 hours to do, and it still looks bogus. Don't you want to take this over? So, we came to the realization that division of duties doesn't mean that we equally have to divide the duties. We just do what we're really strong at doing.
Now, did you guys start as a blog or on YouTube?
Yeah, we started on YouTube. That was that was the initial form that we thought was the best way to get our information across. In addition to posting on Facebook and posting on Instagram. But
we've been slow to get to Twitter.
Yeah.
YouTube is so powerful. Video is so powerful now.
Yes.
And honestly, the reason why we decided to go with the YouTube is whenever people see us, even back in college, people would always comment on our dynamics with one another, how we look at each other, how we talk with one another and about a topic.
It's very easy to see. You guys really have a very natural dynamic.
And we wanted everyone else to see that. So we thought YouTube was great.
Yes.
A great kind of platform to do that.
What we realized, though, when we started doing our YouTube videos is that the attention span of our audience, understandably so, was not that long. And so we really had to find ways to deliver our information still, medically sound, but also as concise as possible because we didn't want people to get bored. But, our first videos were 12 minutes or, 18.
One was 20 minutes, right?
So now
I saw a couple of webinars or webinars for 20 minutes.
Right? He didn't call them
he
webinars.
Called them a webinar.
Yes,
he did. He's proud of us.
And so we had to adjust and be able to figure out, okay, how can we get out these shorter videos? And the longer ones, they took a long time in terms of creating the content and filming and editing. And we just realized it was a lot, So starting to do shorter videos that were easier on our time schedules and also medically sound became our primary goal.
At what point did you start to see that you're getting traction? People are starting to watch your videos more. People are reaching out to you. When did you start to realize that, hey, this is starting to take off?
It was actually pretty
soon.
Pretty immediately after we started. We were getting a lot of, attention. I think we had started in November of 2013. And within just a couple of weeks, we already had our first speaking engagement as BestiesMD. One of our colleagues actually had her church that did a very large Women's Day, and they had asked us to come.
Huge
and speak.
conference.
Yeah, actually, it is. It's one of a very large church here in Chicago, and they had asked us to come and speak on cardiovascular disease and women. And so before we knew it, we were like, oh, Okay.
Mhm.
Well, this is more than just YouTube and posting on Facebook.
This is getting real.
It's getting real.
And what was
Exactly.
interesting about that encounter is we kind of thought it was just, one seminar session for an hour. We just kind of talked through cardiovascular disease, take a few questions. No, it was like 4.
Yeah.
It was 4 back-to-back sessions.
Yes.
And in fact, the sessions started to like meld into one another because afterwards we'll have a long line of people waiting to ask
Just
questions.
to talk to us.
Yes.
Yeah. Some wanted to talk to us about cardiovascular disease, but most just wanted to talk to us about our story and how we got to where we were. So that's when we realized there was this whole nother component to BestiesMD, not just delivering medical information, but our personalities were enough to draw people in, who we were and what we did, how we got to where we have gotten to,
our story.
Perseverance and all of that. Like all of that, people are interested in that too. And that's when some more opportunities started coming for BestiesMD.
Were you nervous at your first speaking engagement?
Yes and no.
Yeah. I think what was probably what made me most nervous is I didn't know how it would be received. I didn't know what people would say about it and, the outcome.
Yeah.
But I found out quickly after that first session, hey, people are really taking a liking to it. And then also you got a feeling from people what their deficits were in their knowledge base,
right,
and what they really wanted to hear and know more about.
Right.
And a lot of reproductive health, reproductive health questions came up. And so that kind of helped geared and mold our
future topics.
Yeah, future topics that we did and webisodes that we did on YouTube.
Now, have you gotten any bad feedback from YouTube? Because, there's trolls all over the place. And, have you ever found yourself kind of getting some really bad feedback and kind of falling for that and writing back, anything like that? Or has it changed the way in which, maybe you do your YouTube videos, going for a shorter as opposed to longer?
I don't recall getting any negative feedback. There have been some questionable Instagram comments here or there. And initially we had tried to reach out and kind of clarify, but then you just realize
you're going down a rabbit hole.
Exactly. You're going down a rabbit hole. And so we encourage dialogue on our social media platforms for people to comment under Instagram or Facebook. But one of the main reasons we're doing this is for people to become more health literate. So we like them to talk to each other. We're presenting this information and talk back and forth about what you think. So we encourage any feedback really, but we're not going to become entangled in the negativity. Everything that we're doing is positive. You might not necessarily agree with, okay, maybe vaccines and they cause autism, for example, as one person commented, but this is scientific data. We are scientists. This is our point of view. Exactly. So, and we're allowed to have that.
You started off saying that this is a passion project for you both. Is there going to be a point where you think you'll go to another level where this is maybe a business or just something bigger than a passion project?
Yeah, I think a lot of different things have come out of this. So from the passion project standpoint, I think how we kind of led into doing podcasts is because YouTube webisodes, while it was great and people were able to see our dynamic, it took a lot of time in terms of coordinating schedules and editing the videos. And it really, it became a really kind of a time trap for us. And so we were trying to think to ourselves, how do we still achieve this goal of educating the masses and making sure our audience is health literate, but still keeping it short and concise from a time demand standpoint? And that's where the podcast came in, realizing that we could still share our dynamic over audio. And so we decided to kind of...
And the podcast is what, tea and cookies?
Yes. Don't you like that? That's very nice. Very catchy.
From a guy standpoint, yeah, it is catchy.
And it's just what the title is, right? Yeah. We're serving tea and cookies. So all the nitty gritty we found from our YouTube webisodes, we hit some very touchy topics, but they're the topics that people want to talk about, but they're scared to talk about. And honestly, sometimes social media is not the best platform to, ask all the questions you want to ask. So we're just, we're using our Tea and Cookies podcast to talk about all those things you want to ask, but you're too scared to ask about.
So the first episode was bras and breast cancer. That was really good, actually. I like that one. How long is your podcast, the average length?
About 30, 45 minutes is what we aim for. We still want to keep it kind of concise so that a person can just listen to it while they're driving into work, or if they're like on the public transportation, quick and concise. You can get it all in at one time, because we're imagining, our audience is busy, moving around. They have a lot of things to do. So we're trying to still keep it to the point where it's concise, following that same pattern.
And it's available iTunes, definitely. How about any other areas where they can download?
Well, iTunes, and then also on our website as well.
They can get the link for that on our website,
which is
www.BestiesMD.com.
Now, your second episode was about your health, as well as where your health, well, just in general, your health post-Trump now.
Yes. That was another dynamic.
I'm sure that had to be a very polarizing discussion. How did that go?
The podcast itself went great, and we were very fortunate to have our guest, Dr. Lisa Whitney, who had
Mix with MDs, right?
Who we just happened to meet when we did the Black Women's Expo in Chicago, pretty close to when we first started.
Maybe like a year or so after.
And her booth was across from ours, and we were like, "Oh, who's that funky lady?" And she came and talked to us, and we just really forged this bond, and we loved what she was doing in terms of educating physicians. And
also promoting health literacy.
Yes, and promoting health literacy, both for patients and for physicians. So we just loved what she was about, and she had a lot of experience when it came to this topic matter.
In fact, I think she's writing a book about it.
She is. But we knew that it was a controversial topic, but hey, it's the times. This is what's happening now, so we have to talk about it.
So when's the next episode coming out?
So you should expect that in April. That'll be our episode number 3. And that's going to actually talk about the angry Black woman slur. So
we recently wrote an article about the use of the word angry Black women, and what it does to like your mental health and your psyche, and what that slur really means, and what people may be trying to communicate with that. And so we think it's a worthwhile conversation, especially for our audience that does have a lot of young professional African American women who
are breaking barriers, right?
But who unfortunately may get mislabeled with that slur.
That's a good one. Can't wait for that one. Now, on your first episode, I heard that you guys had recently taken a hiatus and pivoted a little bit. So once BestiesMD took off, I saw that you guys have been featured in Ebony Magazine. You've been featured in blackdoctor.org. You've been featured in so many different electronic and print media. So I'm sure it just took off. But what prompted the hiatus and the change of direction?
Go ahead.
Well, I think a lot of it was time demands, really just realizing that we didn't have the time to kind of dedicate towards doing the YouTube webisodes and all the social media management, because that takes a lot of work. For all those listeners out there that are going to kind of delve into this social media platform, it takes a lot of work to maintain your social media platform, or maintain engagement create content.
Everybody wants engagement. They want quick reply as soon as they put something up.
Exactly.
Honestly, it's a full-time job by itself. To just have one person manage Facebook, Instagram, and then Twitter, and so it was taking a lot out of us to do that and maintain the same quality. And of course, quality is of utmost importance. So we kind of changed and molded kind of how we wanted to do things. And it led to the podcast, because we're able to still give that quick, bitey information that people want, a little bit less time demanding. And then also to kind of nurture that desire that we have inside of us to educate our community and nurture the people surrounding us that want to become physicians, we introduced Medical Mavens. So I don't know how many people know about our Medical Mavens mentorship pipeline.
So that's, that's where we see, that's our direction that we're going in now, which still does take a lot of time, but we have a very strong group of young women who are working with us to help us to to be able to reach that goal. And so we have decided to focus on our Medical Mavens mentorship pipeline, which is a pipeline program for young girls who want to become physicians, and specifically young girls who are underrepresented in medicine and who may have obstacles when it comes to becoming physicians.
Whether it be financial or educational.
Either financial or educational.
And that's in the squad portion of the website, right?
Indeed.
Squad goals.
Yes. And so we are actually very excited. We're interviewing our first cohort now to start in the next school year, but we are working with a high school here in Chicago with a group of girls who are going to be meeting with us monthly, as well as having some weekly sessions too, where we talk about things like goal setting, where we talk about, what do you say in an interview? What do you wear? How do you do your hair?
Personal statement
writings, financial literacy when it comes to, okay, how can you afford college and medical school?
How to build your own squad.
How to be able to pool your resources, how to maintain a relationship with a mentor, all these things that no one teaches you. They don't teach you that in high school. They don't necessarily teach you that in college either. And how a lot of groups outside of the underrepresented minorities have those resources, And so we're trying to pool our resources in our community and be able to aid these girls to become successful physicians.
When we think about our own story, when we went to University of Chicago, there were a group of about 9 of us that all were pre-med.
Black women.
Black women. They were all pre-med, right? At University of Chicago, you're either pre-med or econ.
Exactly.
Yeah? And all wanted to be pre-med. But out of that group of 9, 2 of us became physicians. Now, one now is in residency, so she's on her way. She took a couple of hiatuses along the way, but she's getting there. But 2 of us. And so that was perplexing to us how all of us are at this great institution and we have access to the same educational quality, but how is it that only 2 of us came out? And that helped us realize that it's more than just the knowledge. You need that support system behind you. You need to have goals and aspirations and vision. You need a mentor. You need you need a pipeline.
So what was also important to us was to make sure it was a pipeline, that after these girls have successfully, gone through college and medical school and residency, they now are going to become the mentors to the next group of girls who are going through our program. So, it's starting small, but because we want to get it as well-oiled and functioning as properly as possible, but we anticipate this going very far. We anticipate being able to really be a resource for young women who are interested in medicine.
When we first introduced the topic, the amount of schools that displayed interest, it was amazing.
Exactly. But we wanted to start small. We want to be able to work out all the kinks and make sure it runs smoothly before we replicate it to other schools in Chicago and beyond.
But that is the goal for the future.
And so, is there a place where they can learn more about this?
Yes, so you can actually visit medicalmavens.org, which has information about why we're doing this, our story, as well as also ways how you can donate to help us with our cause.
I'll put it in the show notes then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, obviously, in my previous episodes, I've interviewed mostly, doctors who are on their own, who are living outside the box. There was one episode where I did it with Cameron Matthews. You may be familiar with her. She went to University of Chicago, her law school. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but and Alden Landry, they worked together and they were working on Tour for Diversity. But the majority of my guests are all, solo. They're doing it by themselves. So I just wanted to know from you both, like, doing this by yourself, as crazy as it is, how are you both able to combine your schedules and work together with such busy schedules and actually find time to do these things?
That's a great question and something that we honestly still struggle with because I don't know what it is, but it seems like our schedules are always opposite.
It's like the forces that
they're like against us or something. But I think what it just takes is perseverance, because we believe us, our life could be just as full, just working and being with our families and not doing any of this, right? But we know that there's a greater goal in mind. We know that there are things that are just as important to us as our families and just as important to us as, working as physicians. And so it's really that desire, I believe, is what drives us to continue to do this. But to be honest, it is time consuming, which is why over the past 3 or 4 years that we've been doing this, we are honest about our time commitments. We're honest about our availabilities. And if it takes cutting down on Instagram and Facebook to be able to focus on medical mavens, well, that's what we're going to do. If we're able to allot more time to write articles, that's what we're going to do. But we're not going to feel like we have to be forced to post every single day and come up with an article every 2 weeks and come up with a podcast every month. Like, we really need to be honest with ourselves. And at the end of the day, we believe in quality more than quantity.
And authenticity.
So I think we know our audience will prefer, better quality posts and better quality articles and podcasts, as opposed to just putting a bunch of stuff out there just to say we're doing it regularly.
That's a really good point. I love it. You guys can almost be kind of considered like medical journalists because you're online or you're on podcasts or even blogging about just medical issues, and you're educating the regular public about these medical things that they always want to know about. So I wanted to know what you both thought about just the current state of medical journalists right now on TV, like, the Oz, Dr. Oz.
He said the Oz.
Right? He's much bigger than
his
name, but Dr. Oz and Sanjay Gupta, the doctors. Like, what are your thoughts on those guys?
Go ahead. Okay. I'll jump in. I have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely well-oiled machines, I'll have to say.
100%.
To be able to consistently create content on a, daily or like Dr. Oz or weekly show, that takes a lot. That takes a team, a very strong and committed team behind you who is either fueled by passion or fueled by dollar bills, to be alongside with you in that journey and in that experience. So I think honestly, we did see ourselves as journalists, medical journalists, and we knew that would probably be a natural progression for us. But we also, value our privacy. We also value our time right now. And to do something like that, I think it just requires a lot more than we were willing to compromise with at this point in time. But big ups to them and what they're doing. They are educating the masses. They're getting good information out there. But at the end of the day, they are like celebrities and they are these public figures. And although we wanted to share what we know and our passions with the public, we also value our private time and our family life and all of that.
I think Dr. Gameli brought up a couple of good points. One big one is, you need a team to do those type of things. And I know along the way with us doing this for 3 years now, we've had numerous members of kind of our squad, so to speak, in our team. But what we found is if you are going to have a team and you're going to take on a big project like the Oz, you need everyone in the team to be equally as passionate as you are and see your vision. And that was kind of a lot of the obstacles we ran into. One of our struggles, we didn't find people to be as passionate.
Talk about that, because a lot of people, I think sometimes we hear so much about the success stories, but we don't get a chance to hear about the potholes, some of the downsides. So speak on that.
Yeah, we have had the opportunity to work with some wonderful women with BestiesMD, but we also realize that, this is Chantale and I's passion, right? It's not necessarily everyone's passion. And so I think once people got into it and saw how much work it was, if that passion is not necessarily authentic, but if that passion is not shared, then it makes it difficult. It's just like you're just completing tasks or just doing it for us just because we asked. And we never wanted that. Like I said, we would rather have quality than quantity. And so we were trying to be able to put out more, trying to be able to be more present by having our team. But what we come to find is that it's not everyone who's going to be able to share in that passion with you. And so that's why, for example, Medical Mavens, we were very fortunate to be able to work with one young lady who's in medical school now, and she is just as passionate as we are, and she is really able to spearhead this Medical Mavens program with us. But that's one out of 5, 6 that we've worked with over the past 3 years, but that's okay. That's okay.
And you also want someone that's also going to complement the needs of the program, right? So wherever we have a weakness, you want someone to be able to supplement that with their strength. If someone's really good at managing business and scheduling appointments and speaking engagements and articles, then that person takes on that task. You really want people to fill in the gaps where you're weak. Yeah. And so we're searching for people within our squad to do that. So,
I'm sorry. And to be completely honest, I think we have worked with some people who have the passion, but it just comes down to their time. And we understand because we're struggling with the same thing. And so it's not always that the passion is not there, but they are also realistic about what they're trying to do in their lives and what their passion is in their lives and the goals that they're trying to accomplish. So, we've been, like I said, we've been very fortunate to work with some great women in our organization, but not everyone is the right fit.
Now, is there an opportunity outside of clinical medicine with the things that you do with BestiesMD? Is there an opportunity to have some type of, basically, is it lucrative? Are you able to get some money, some type of monetary reimbursement for what you guys do, whether it's speaking, writing, doing the videos? Because you're talking about having a team, it costs money, doesn't it? So can you speak a little bit about that?
So there are definitely avenues to build income with it. So with your speaking engagements, you definitely can kind of set your price on that, depending on what topics you're talking about, how long it's going to be, how much time it takes to prepare. So it could vary. For some nonprofit agencies, it may be something like $100 to $200, but when you're getting to bigger platforms, you're talking into the thousands of dollars. For a speaking engagement. And then also in print, it kind of follows the same kind of guidelines. Depending on the topic that you're talking about and how many articles you're willing to commit to and submit to these respective articles, you can get about $200 to $300 a pop per article working on that. I think for us, also, what we see ourselves kind of doing in the near future is people are very interested in our journeys and our stories. And we think there's a lot to gain from that. So we think writing a book is in our near future, and kind of doing courses and things that have to do with our journey is kind of the next natural progression, so to speak.
I actually can't wait to see when your book comes out. That's going to be amazing, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, and to a point that you had mentioned earlier, I was just, it's like on the tip of my tongue, I wanted to mention earlier. I also think one of the biggest differences between ourselves and like Oz and Dr. Sanjay Gupta is our audience as well. I think the audience and the people that are out there now, these young people, they're all on social media. Like social media is where it's at. That's where they go to for their news, right? And so we're contacting a different audience and really getting them engaged. And if you think about the audience we're touching, these people are going to have exponential effects on generations to come. I mean, because they're young, they're vibrant, they're starting their families. Whatever information we're giving them, they're going to pass on to their kids to come.
That's a really good point. Now, so along that same vein, then, what's your advice for doctors who are going to listen to this podcast and who are interested in starting either a podcast, a YouTube channel, or blogging? Do you have any advice for those people?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, go for it. Honestly, yes, it might be a risk. Yes, you might be late, up late at night working on it or working at it at work sometimes, like how I do. But absolutely go for whatever it is that brings you, that fulfillment. And then secondly, I would say just try to be as organized as possible. We are fortunate to have Google and Google Drive. I think, that is it's been our mainstay. Yeah, it's an excellent resource to be able to organize your ideas, to be able to
$3.99.
Exactly. To be able to create imaging and artwork that corresponds to your brand or, to your various social media platforms. And also is very nice because it's so easy to share, with whoever it is that you are working with. So that's kind of been like one of our, what's a good word for it? One of our
mottos, what we live by.
Yes, we love Google.
Creed.
Yeah. So that's what we would tell them. And just, again, whatever you can do. Medicine is great. Don't get me wrong. If I had to do it all over again, I would still choose to go into medicine. But we can be more than just doctors. We can be able to satisfy all of the other desires that we want. So, for example, someone like me who loves to be creative, I used to take figure drawing classes, and I used to paint and do all that. Well, I might not be able to do that every day, but I'm still able to funnel my creativity through BestiesMD. And that's a big part of who I am, in addition to being a doctor. So,
hey, Dr. Gameli, you trying to steal my hashtag? I'm not just a doc. We didn't get there yet. Slow your roll.
But it's just very important, And,
I know.
Yeah, it's very crucial to be able to nurture all of who we are, while also being able to be doctors.
I think Dr. Chantale Bishop, we met her kind of in our Empire Life journey. She also has a podcast, Believing Bigger. Mm-hmm. And she told us something that I thought really kind of resounded in our ears, and we've been using it for a long time, is chase the dream and the passion rather than the money. And I would recommend that to everyone that's listening.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Chase that dream and that passion, because the money will follow that.
Mm-hmm.
I think people see us and they see how passionate we are about whatever we're talking about, and they want to contribute to that. They want to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
They want to invest in that. Mm-hmm. And so the money follows that because they can see what we're selling and what we're giving. And so I think, keep that in mind when you're going after this dream, is that's what's most important, your authenticity and your quality.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that advice. It's real talk and very honest from you guys. So thank you so much. And, we're getting towards the end of the interview. So I just want to ask you both some quick, fast questions. You guys game?
Yeah, of course.
Just off the top of your head, no thinking. Let's just see what you have to say.
Well, I hope you're ready for these answers.
All right, let's do this. So what's one thing you want listeners to get from this podcast?
Quality.
Authenticity.
Okay, I love it. Okay, I like that. What can the audience expect from you both in 5 years?
Big things. Definitely the growth of medical mavens,
mm-hmm.
To expand to multiple high schools in the Chicagoland area, and have a group of girls who are able to be a resource to each other
mm-hmm.
along their journey.
And then also, I think a book is in our near future.
Mm-hmm.
We've been working on that. We have a few other projects, in our sleeves that we can't really divulge about right now. But you guys have to keep following us to see what it's about. But that should be coming in the near future as well.
Definitely in the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What about life hacks? Is there any life hacks that you both use to become more productive?
Google.
Use it.
I mean, everything Google we do. Calendars,
yes.
the Drive, all their spreadsheets.
Hangouts, everything.
Hangouts, images, yes. Everything through Google. Use it.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you're both proud of that nobody else knows?
I think we're most proud of the fact that we're able to maintain such a strong friendship over all that we've been through, all the obstacles, working through BestiesMD, medical mavens. It hasn't been easy, mm-hmm. but I think our friendship is just as strong and just as authentic as it was day one.
Agreed.
Excellent answer. All right. Well, Dr. Gameli, we're at the last sentence. I want you both to finish this sentence. It's a hashtag. I'm not just a doc, and I present it to all my guests. It's a way for you to, let people know that there are things about you that, make up you more than just being a physician. So I present to you, I'm not just a doc. I'm a
boss.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I don't think we've gotten that one before. Excellent. Well, Dr. Gameli, Dr. Chantale, thank you so much for your time on the show. I think the listeners, I know I've learned a lot from you both. Secretly, I've been a big fan of you guys for some time now. I've been watching you and your videos on YouTube, and I've been reading your blog posts as well as, what you guys are doing, slowly but surely working on Instagram and to other social media avenues. So I just wanted to acknowledge you all for what you're doing. I really think that it's important with your motto, which is empowering women through health education on a relatable as well as sisterly level. That really resonates with me. And I just want to acknowledge you all for what you're doing. I know it's very difficult to feel the pressure to always have to come out with content when other people who are in different genres are putting out content on a daily basis. But for you guys are really focused on quality. And as a fellow content creator, I just want to acknowledge you both for saying that. And I really appreciate that. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing. The audience, I think, has learned a lot from you all. So thanks again for being on the show.
No problem. And we share in the same sentiment.
Yes.
I mean, you're doing some great work, and we're so very excited that you chose us to be on your show.
Another episode is wrapped up. Episode 20 is officially history. I wonder if you guys got a chance to really take a listen, peep, review the dynamic between me and BestiesMD. I really thought this was one of my favorite episodes. I think I really got them to open up. They really got me to open up, and I thought it was really interactive. So really interested to see what you guys thought about the episode, and leave me feedback because it's always appreciated. Remember, you can reach out to me on email at nii@docsotb.com. Also Twitter, which I'm very responsive with, at docsotb. That's DOCSOTB. Remember, I got a Facebook page. And then also, a lot of people don't know about this, but I also have an Instagram page, which is related to Docs Outside the Box. But the username is not Docs Outside the Box. It is at NiiPDarko, which is spelled NiiPDarko. And as always, remember, if you are finding value, just remember, take a minute. Please go to iTunes and leave me a review, preferably a 5-star review. It's really helpful. So that's about it. I'm going to have to catch you on the next one, but you know what time it is. Remember to always live outside the box.